Earlier today, Skyrim received a brand new update. This to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the game, and it was actually a pretty big update. About 25 gigabytes for Xbox, 16 on PlayStation, just 4 gigabytes for PC, depending on the user. There are two major sides to this update. On the free side, you had the next-gen upgrades, kind of, and we'll talk about why that's a kind of. You had some free content getting added to the game that everyone could just download right now, but then also the paid side with Skyrim Anniversary Edition itself. Skyrim Special Edition plus all of the old Creation Club content plus 26 new pieces of Creation Club content. We're going to talk about why that might be worth it for you, or maybe it's not worth it for you, and even some of the byproducts of this. With this update, mods were broken, but then Bethesda and modders were bros and actually fixed mods, but then they broke again, and now they're working again, kinda. So we'll go over that, the situation, and how you could rectify it, and just in general, I hope this video serves as an overview of all of the things going on with Skyrim today and what this update entails. At first, I want to focus on the free new content, because for pretty much everyone watching, you'll get access to this. If you own Skyrim Special Edition, you will have some free new content that you get to experience. Most of this will be available and distributed via Creation Club, so you can just get it for free on Creation Club, or after updating the game, get it for free. One of the first ones is Saints and Seducers. This is something that came out with Creation Club previously. It's really meaty. It was one of the biggest things to ever come to Creation Club, and still is one of the biggest things. It features several quests that will take you to totally new locations, doing new things, and a bunch of new armors and weapons you can get along the way. In total, it's a few hour experience. It's not like this is a half hour and you're done. It will take you over an hour and probably several hours to do it in its totality. Fishing was just newly added to Skyrim. I've been playing with this and it's pretty interesting. At its core, the way this will work is there are now these fishing spots randomly scattered around Skyrim. You just go to one, hit the E key or the use key, and you'll start fishing. If you're looking to jump into this and kind of confused, there's one right by the Guardian Stones that you can get to pretty easily. From here, it'll kick off a quest after you catch your first fish, and you could do a bunch of more quests. You'll have to catch specific fish, go to different locations, different weathers come into play. Not the most interactive take on fishing in a game, but it is pretty interesting and can be pretty cool. And then finally, the third free thing is survival mode. Survival mode's been free a couple of times in the past, so you're probably pretty familiar with it. It'll add in things like no fast travel, the requirement to eat, sleep, etc., as well as heat and temperature being a factor. One of the cool parts about this update to Skyrim overall is it actually provided a bunch of bug fixes and even some changes. So some of the values with Skyrim survival mode actually got tweaked here, like hunger growing more slowly, but sleep actually leading to hunger going down faster, as well as a ton of the other things released previously in Creation Club did get tweaks or bug fixes also. There's a full change log, nothing super crazy. The tweaks at survival mode are probably some of the most substantial, but it's really nice to see they didn't just repackage this stuff, they actually did edit some of it along the way. With one of the biggest changes, if you've played this past Creation Club content, or if you owned a bunch of it, is now with all of this content, when you log into the game, you're not going to get that quest spam, or at least not to the same degree. But that's described how you shouldn't get quest spam. I still got a little quest spam. I got about 5 quests when I logged in. Maybe this was just a bug with those particular items. I did update everything. But either way, the idea here is when you actually download all of this new Anniversary Edition content, or even just the free stuff, if you actually want to start it, you have to go find it. You're not just going to have a quest added to your character. The way that works in practicality is you have to log on to the Creation Club shop and actually look on the store page. This can be kind of frustrating. It would log me out every time. So naturally, with 26 new items, you're going to be doing this fairly often, and I had to log in numerous times to find out where to actually go to kick things off. Over time, though, this will be added to the wiki, or even I'm sure books via mods will be added into the game. And some aren't even super specific, like Bittercup, and they even added a pretty handy, nice download all button to Creation Club on the store now, so you can just download everything if you already own it. And these free ones are pretty substantial. That free content that just got added shouldn't be overlooked. That's probably a good 3 to 5 hours of new content, if not more, depending on how fast you play things. Of course, if you're actually playing with survival mode, it's going to take a lot longer to do everything because you have to walk there or travel there in a different way. Fishing and survival are really nice background systems that fit in pretty naturally. Although in addition, a point of a lot of contention and even just confusion with this all is not even really a part of Anniversary Edition, but there was reportedly going to be some next-gen upgrades for Skyrim for console users. And what Bethesda said on this was how they would optimize the game with enhanced graphics, faster load times, and more. And this was confusing because despite us getting like 2 trailers for Anniversary Edition and this whole release overall, they never really clarified what that actually meant. Faster load times, okay, yeah, obviously, but what enhanced graphics? What does that actually mean? So basically, what it seems like they did is made the game run 4K and run at 60 FPS, which is super delightful. Skyrim in 60 FPS, I think all Bethesda games in 60 FPS are just ideal. That's how you want to play these games. The confusing part about that being, you could actually already do that on Xbox, and you could do it on PlayStation too, although with PlayStation you needed a free mod. Both platforms were always 4K when it comes to the next-gen consoles. Both PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X ran Skyrim Special Edition at 4K, so that's not really new. And Skyrim on Xbox just recently actually got an FPS boost, which actually boosted it to 60 FPS, so that's not really new either. Most players have been able to do that. So what I think happened here was Bethesda basically ported over Skyrim to the next-gen consoles properly. Previously, when you were playing it on an Xbox Series X, you were using backwards compatibility. It was made for the Xbox One, but backwards compatibility brought it over to the Series X. So now it's actually natively running on the Series X, which brought some improvements. But most of those improvements, that notably being 4K 60 FPS, were already functionally there. So most players aren't actually noticing much of any difference. And when it comes to load times, there haven't been reports of huge changes there either. And maybe I'm just completely missing this. I have only been able to go off other players' reports because I unfortunately cannot get a next-gen console, but I've read a lot about this, and thus far it seems like that's the situation. Bethesda, again, still hasn't actually clarified what these next-gen improvements are, so we're kind of just going off inference, and this is what people are noticing. Although with all that said, technically everything I talked about thus far isn't even Anniversary Edition. That's just free stuff that came to Skyrim today. When it comes to Anniversary Edition itself, this will cost money and have the bulk of the new content. So technically Anniversary Edition is more of a DLC for Skyrim, but it also includes Skyrim, so you could buy it as a standalone item. And there's actually a few different ways you could even purchase this. So right off the bat, for $50, if you don't own Skyrim, you could buy Anniversary Edition, which includes Skyrim Special Edition itself, so just the game, but then also all of the previously released Creation Club content and these 26 new pieces of Creation Club content. Again, that'll be $50. And on the front of those 26 new pieces, technically 3 of those are free anyway, so even if you don't buy it, you can get them. So it's kind of like 23 new pieces of things you're actually buying. If you want a list of what these 26 new things are, the wiki has a brief overview. I made a video in the past looking at these that covered everything outside of the 2 new horse armors they added. These are 2 of the things that are currently available for free that anyone could get. But okay, I think the vast majority of people at this point do own Skyrim Special Edition specifically. And if you do own Skyrim, you could upgrade to the Anniversary Edition and get all of the Creation Club content ever for $20. And to be clear, that is both the old stuff and the new stuff. Everything to ever release for Creation Club you get for that $20, or if you're in Game Pass, you get the whopping discount of $2 and you could upgrade for $18. Or alternative to all of that, you could actually just buy these items individually in the Creation Club. This would be kind of dumb. Obviously, buying everything individually will be notably more expensive than just buying the $20 bundle. Actually, several times more expensive. To buy everything in Creation Club will be in the hundreds of dollars, or you could buy it all for $20. If you're one of the weird people out there that for some reason is trying to actually buy everything individually in Creation Club, like maybe you had a ton of points on your account, for me at least and some other users, some things weren't popping up. I think this is a bug. So for example, one of the horse armors just never popped up as an individual item on the store. It only showed up in my purchases tab once I actually bought Anniversary Edition, which speaking of, after buying Anniversary Edition, you'll just have this download button on the homepage, so you'll download all of this new content all at once. So the question now becomes, is this worth it to you? Should you buy this, or do I recommend you should buy this? I think if you've never played Skyrim, yeah, I mean, unless you're going to wait for a sale in the future, Skyrim's a phenomenal game. It's $40 for Special Edition or $50 for Anniversary Edition. I'd spend the $10 for all the Creation Club content personally. But Skyrim's pretty good. A lot of content out there, both free and paid at this point. And on the upgrade side, it is a little bit of an interesting one, because if you actually look at the raw amount of content in Creation Club, $20 is easily justifiable here. If you've never played Creation Club, this will probably be tens of hours of content. It's hard to put an exact number on it. Again, if you're starting a new character or even playing on survival mode, you could probably cross 40 hours with just Creation Club content. But if you're playing more realistically, fast traveling around a higher level character, it's going to be notably lower than that, but you still have tens of hours of content here. As far as just the new content, I've already put 4 hours into just 3 of these new items. Granted, they're some of the more substantial items, but thus far I've tried out farming, Ghosts of the Tribunal, and fishing, and I've been having quite a bit of fun on most of this. This is really just first impressions. I'm going to do a full-fledged video once I play everything, hopefully tomorrow, but it might not actually be able to get it done that fast. Farming is kind of like a player home, but more. The way it works is you basically show up to this farm, some stuff stuff happens. So you do the short quest to actually get the farm for yourself. And then from there, after assigning a steward to it, you kind of have access to establish a bunch of things at the farm for a cost. You'll have to craft some facilities. You could hire some farmers to actually work there for you. You'll be able to build pens, then actually pay for animals to work in those pens and then actually generate passive income from this farm. But it's kind of like an investment. You have to put in money first, and then over time it'll pay you out. And a fully upgraded farm's pretty good, in the thousands of gold every couple of days. As well as there's a ton of vanity stuff. You could actually upgrade the house itself because, again, this is a full-fledged player home. And I honestly found it kind of fun. Compared to a lot of other player home mods, it felt like this was just a bit more hands-on. I got more attached to this. I was able to build a little house for my farmers to live in, which increased their productivity. Ghost of the Tribunal basically feels like it's a weapon/armor pack, but with a bunch of quests tying it all together. Pretty simple on paper. You're going to infiltrate this group and then do some quests for them, or technically you could just kill them right off the bat, but I want the quest side. A lot of the quests are pretty simple. Go here, take on this person, or something along those lines, and then there's a few puzzles as well as some dungeons and enemies, but you're left with some pretty epic pieces of weapons and armor, and actually do some things with those weapons and armors to enchant them and make them feel particularly special and powerful. Fishing to me was by far the most boring, but a lot of other people seem to love it. It's cool conceptually. There's now these scattered fishing spots around Skyrim. You just actually stumble upon one of them. Once you have a fishing rod equipped, you can actually hit E at one of these spots, cast your line, and then once you actually see some movement, you could return your line and hopefully catch a fish or some other miscellaneous item. And that's kind of the cornerstone of fishing. You go to these spots, you hit E, and then you're literally stuck here. You can't move your camera at all. And then when there's movement, you hit E a second time or the use key a second time, and hopefully you caught a fish. And that's it. Do that for like 20 minutes to catch all the right fish. There's some variables though, like weather changing things up, a few quests you can do to catch specific things, or bounties, and even just different locations having different fish. I'm still working on this one. I still have to actually finish the quest line overall and do more of the bounties, but it's okay. And also the fishing rod's technically a sword, so that's cool. So it's kind of hard to get to that worth it question. On paper, yeah, it's $20 worth of content, especially if you've never played the old Creation Club stuff. But at the same time, Skyrim modding is now 10 years old. Basically everything here has mods. I mean, people are literally already modding the fishing mode onto boats, which is insane. This is Bethesda's take, and it's a mod that costs money. A lot of the times these mods aren't actually that much higher quality, or not even higher quality at all. But $20 to me is a reasonable price. If you're on PlayStation in particular and you don't have a wealth of free content, I think this is way easier to justify. So I think it'll vary from person to person. But again, I don't want there to be any confusion. There is a lot of content added in by this $20. With that said, there's a lot of content that just stopped working due to this update. So mods for Skyrim broke on two major fronts, and this will only impact PC players. So if you're playing on consoles, there's really nothing to worry about here. And like in particular on PlayStation, even if all the mods did break, probably be fine. But no, it's only affecting PC users as of right now. And again, there's two major versions of this. The game version changed for Skyrim, so some mods require updating. It's the simpler side of this break, pretty similar to what happened with most of the past times Creation Club updates would go out. But then separately, the more complicated side is the EXE's compiler was updated. So mods that use DLL files, these known as native code mods, will require a full rewrite. It's not like they just have to change a few numbers in the code of the mod. No, these mods will have to kind of be remade because things were changed on a fairly fundamental level here. So when it comes to some of these DLL based mods, they won't actually be updated for a while. Some of them may not actually get updated ever. Some of these modders have moved on from the modding scene. There's no estimated time for when a lot of this stuff is going to get updated. Each modder is going to have to update things individually. But fortunately, there are some solutions to this already. Things are not as bad as we were expecting. Before Skyrim Anniversary Edition released, Bethesda actually reached out to the Skyrim script extender team and gave them an early copy of Anniversary Edition so they could start updating script extender early. So right after Anniversary Edition dropped, script extender actually had a new version, a beta version, and then it immediately broke because Bethesda had to release a hotfix because they broke something with Anniversary Edition. Fortunately, at this point, script extender has been updated yet again to the new and updated game version. It seems like this is a relatively early release, and at some point in the future, they will have a more substantial, full-on updated version, but things will still work. This is great because a ton of mods that were broken because of their script extender dependency and now will work. Or alternatively, if you did accidentally update your game, you could actually use this tool released by the Wabbajack guys to downgrade your version of Skyrim. So revert to the old Anniversary Edition version of Skyrim and still have all of your mods work, hopefully. Some people are having some issues getting this working, but there'll likely be further fixes on this in coming days, and right now it's really your only option if you didn't back things up or prevent the game from updating on its own. And I think that's about everything. That's kind of a comprehensive look at Anniversary Edition. information. Of course, we didn't get into all 26 of the new items. It's gonna take a while to play all these. I imagine I'm spending most of my day today and tomorrow playing them, and then I will have a comprehensive video. After that, I also want to have a video looking at the difference between the free versions and the paid versions more exclusively, almost like a review and a comparison. But with that said, hopefully this gave you a nice overview of what you can expect with this, some of the stuff that is working great, some of the stuff that's not working. But with that said, I thank you all again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.